Okay, so as part of our How to Get Into Radio, I thought I'd give you a studio tour so you could get an idea of what a radio studio looks like and what are some of the key things that work in a radio station. So before you apply for a job, you're able to, operate a mixing desk, run the broadcast software, for instance. This is the East Coast Radio A studio on Air A, and it is probably one of the nicest studios I've worked in, and a big thank you to East Coast Radio for the privilege of working in it. As you can see, lots and lots of guest microphones. I think there are 5 guest mics in total, and each one has their own on-off switch, which is something that back in the day didn't happen. So the presenter or the person running the desk would have to remember to turn microphones on. This is not the case in this studio. There's loads of power sockets, their own headphone amplifiers, so the presenters or guests are able to set the volume of their headphones. And again, they got a PFL and a mute button there as well, just in case they need to cough or they need to do something off microphone. So it's a really nice setup. On this side of the desk is main control. This is where it all happens from. And I'm going to take you through pretty much the whole setup from the hardware side to the software side that you'll see up there. And of course, our second screen is for our WhatsApp messages, our prep, our internet access, and the like is all the way on that side over there. So this is a standard mixing desk. It's an Axia desk, which has pretty much become industry standard. And it features a whole stack of channels there, plenty of mic channels, as you can see, PC channels, connections to our news booth, which is right over there. Our producer sits in that corner over there. We can play audio off the PC. So if we get a voice note, for instance, there's a voice note that I sent through. I can play that through this channel here, but I'll go into that in more detail in a bit. We've got additional channels on this side here. These are for our outside broadcasts, and I'll go into that. These are for connections. Oftentimes when I've been overseas and done a live show, I've connected on these channels here, telephone software, but I'll go into that now. Let's start with the most important thing. The thing that you use to talk to your audience is your microphone, and these are some of the really cool microphones. I'm not sure what the brand on these are. Electro Voice, but really good microphone, nice warm sound quality, and really nice to use. Your first couple of channels on your mixing desk is all of your microphone channels, and as you can see, there are 6 mics. There is 1 presenter or main control mic here, and 5 guest mics on that side. A lot of radio shows, the actual person who's the host of the show may not even be driving the desk. They may be sitting on that side there. And with that in mind, they have got an exact copy of what you see on the screen up on the screen over there. So if the presenter is not riding the desk and they're sitting on that side, they're able to see exactly what's going on. So mic 1 would be here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are the faders. Now, these are basically volume controls. So if it's up, you can turn it softer or louder. You can turn it off. On and off switches there. TalkBack, that goes through to the producer who sits in the corner over there. And you can also preview the microphones here. In fact, you can preview all of the channels. So mic 1 through 6. Then, of course, we've got the HD1 and HD2. Now that corresponds with what's going on up here, HD3. So you'll see 1, 2, and 3 on your mixing desk. Those channels are all on, and that's basically playing our audio that we're listening to at the moment. And if I have a look at these here, so if I switched it off, it would be off. So these need to be more or less the same volume because we don't want the audio one track to sound louder than the other. It needs to sound all fairly standard. And you can see up there is our level indicator. It's all digital nowadays, nothing analog. And that red 20 right at the top there is the important mark to aim for. I just want to turn this down so we don't get a copyright strike. Then you've got HK1 and HK2. That's hotkeys. Now, what are hotkeys? Hotkeys are found down here. So, for instance, I very seldom use them because there's very little on my show late at night. So if I go here, These are my hotkeys, so these will be liners or little bits of audio that I want to use in the show. So that if I click on that, it'll say Gordon Graham on East Coast Radio, etc., etc. So those would play out of here, 1 and 2. 1 is the one you would use, but if you fired 2 of them, it would play the first one here and the second one here. News microphone, which is in our news booth over there. And then, of course, the news boss is for any audio that the news team have. So remember this, channels 1 through 6 are microphones. They must be up and on. Presenters 1 is controlled here. And then the others are, as I showed you, controlled on the other side. These are your audio player channels, HD 1, 2, and 3. And what this does is it's now playing on HD 2, which is this channel over here. What this does is it'll rotate. So it'll go 1, 2, 3, and then go back to 1. And this little sign over here is a mixed signal. So that basically says that it'll mix from one to the next. If I wanted to stop, which I do want it to stop quite soon, I'm going to click on there. And I go there, and that means it's going to stop, which means I now need to back announce, and then I'll start the next hour, and I want that one to stop as well over there. So, but I'll get to the software side in a second. In the meantime, though, this is our PC channel. As I said, if I want to play voice notes or audio, we have a studio at Suncoast, an outside studio, which would then come through this channel here. But that studio would be exactly the same setup, but then it would feed the audio directly to here, which would play out of here, and then we would need to turn this on here. We also have another studio at our studios up in Johannesburg, and that would come through, if there's a presenter from East Coast Radio who's doing a show in Johannesburg, that would come through here. So 16 channels on here, mic channels, audio play out, HD 1, 2, and 3, which now this is playing 2, and it'll go to 3 and back to 1, and then, of course, it'll play the hotkeys, our news microphone, our news audio, the PC, and then the 2 outside broadcasts. Now, if I come across this side here, this is basically our second screen, runs on a completely different PC, but is controlled with the same keyboard and mouse. Keyboard, mouse, standard. Decent quality Sennheiser headphones as well, great studio quality. So here I would have my email. I also have my prep here. So another additional prep sites. I've got the radio station's website up there so I can see a bit of YouTube going on there. This is a program called Colony. All of our WhatsApp messages come through here. This one would be on air, my stuff. So whatever I see from the messages here that I want to use, I would send it to myself so that I can find it easily on this side over here. Now, this side of the desk, as I said, OB1, OB2, this is for outside broadcast. So when they're doing an outside broadcast, they will send us their audio through on either one of these channels. And these are our Lucy, which is an audio interface that helps us do shows from far distances. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so we've showed you those 2 audio interfaces there. This is the telephone line. As you can see, East Coast Radio has 6 active telephone lines. But the most amazing thing about these is that they queue. So that you'll never get an engaged tone when you phone the radio. Even if all 6 lines are busy, it'll queue. So it'll still ring in the background. And then the moment we drop the line, it'll flash on here as well. When you phone the radio station, that little light there will flash. To take it live on air, I would select the channel. You can see that comes on there. I would press on and then take it live on air and say, East Coast Radio, how you doing? And that would be the same for any radio station. They would have their telephone system directly on there so that they can take your calls. Nowadays, though, what a lot of people do is they send us voice notes, and they come through on our Colony system, and then we would play it out from there. There's one from Janita Liz sent me one there. Kathy sent me one over there as well. These are your TalkBack. So if I want to talk to the producer in that booth over there, I would hit that right there. And I can talk to production studios. I can talk to On Air 2, which is next door. On Air 2 production, which is next door as well. The DJ panel is over here. We have a DJ that does live mixing in the studio here in East Coast Radio or at East Coast Radio, and then he would plug his desk in and then the audio would come through there as well. If I want to dial, I'd select a line and then I'd dial the number here, press hash at the end, and it'll send it out. Now, I know that's a lot of information to give you, but what I want you to do is think carefully and rewind this video and look at it again and again, just so you understand. So the basis is each of these is called a channel. You would need to select the volume of the channel using the slider or fader, and remember on or off. Your audio channels, because it's all digital, need to be on constantly. If one of them is off and you leave the room and it mixes, it won't play any audio. So make sure those are on. Basic studio setup, basic desk setup, and that's how it looks here at East Coast Radio. And pretty much every other radio station is very similar. I hope that helps.
Hey, thanks for watching this YouTube video, and to all those who've subscribed, thank you to you, and thank you for sharing the channel as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the button down below and click subscribe, and also click the bell for notifications. Always striving to bring you some great content, and there's more to come.